Stop by real quick, give you a little brief idea of who I am. I'm a lifelong resident of El Paso County. In 1978, well, let me start. I raised my kids and my grandkids here. In 1978, I started at the Sheriff's Office and spent 20 years there. And left as a lieutenant. Last 5 years I was there, I was the commander of the Metro Narcotics Unit assigned to the Colorado Springs Police Department. In 98 I left. I decided I had had about enough of law enforcement and all of the things involved there, and went into real estate. I currently hold a real estate license, but in 2010, after our fun little ride of the mid-2000s, I decided I needed to do something different, and I went back into law enforcement. I'm the Deputy Chief of Police in Fountain. I can tell you a lot more about me, but I think it's more important that you learn from people that support me. Ask, if you live in Palmer Lake, you know Bob Grotto, the police commissioner. Ask Bob. Ask Jake Shirk in Monument. Ask Pete Carey, the chief in Colorado Springs, or most area fire chiefs. You can ask almost any one of them, or one of the 800 members of the Colorado Springs Police Protective Association. They're all supporters, and that's because they recognize that experience matters, and real police experience matters. Like I said, I've got 23 years of law enforcement experience in this community. And the pillar of our campaign, or my campaign, is collaboration and cooperation. You folks up here might have an officer on all the time. An officer on all the time. Right. You know, we have found that if we can work together closer, we can provide a lot more services for people in El Paso County, everywhere. And we know that we can take some of our combined support services, like communications, training, evidence, other things that each agency does independently, we can do them together. We can do them a lot cheaper and a lot better than the way we're doing it today. We have a lot of buy-in. The district attorney, for instance, is heavily involved. First off, he endorses me. He accompanies me to a lot of these events. Dan is very supportive of our concept of a regionalized evidence facility. It's his evidence, but yet we each hold it. Monument has a room where they hold evidence. They actually hold evidence for the Palmer Lake Marshal as well. The Sheriff's Office has one. Colorado Springs has one. Fountain has one. And it's all the district attorney's evidence. We feel like it's probably a little more appropriate, and a whole lot less expensive for us to do it that way. We've worked out some arrangements for training. I don't know if you know it, but if you live up here in Monument or Palmer Lake, your officers actually train in Fountain. Because we have found a way to leverage some state funds to bring in trainers and train these officers up here for free. And we think we can take that regionally. In fact, we are very, very close to signing a deal, a public-private partnership, to develop a very unique training opportunity where we combine all law enforcement training in South Central Colorado. It will combine the training of 43 agencies for a whole lot less than what most agencies spend. Because Palmer Lake has no budget for training. They barely have a budget for fuel. And you laugh, but that's the truth. You know, I'm real good friends with Don Kling, and Don's an ex-Sheriff's Office deputy, and Don works part-time up here because it's less expensive for them to hire a part-time officer than it is paying the benefits for a full-time officer. We have to find a way for our community to work together, and our community of law enforcement is the same way. And we want to provide those things for you. And I don't know, what am I missing? Right? I've got my fiance Joy and my campaign manager Wendy with me. So what am I missing?
I think a big part of it, and from an outsider looking in, obviously on his campaign, but we appreciate you guys and you coming out and understanding, you know, the district, the House 20 candidates,
exactly.
And Duncan, and getting involved, making an educated vote. And I have been friends with Bill's opponent for several years. I just met Bill earlier this summer. Joe Breister is a bureau chief that just retired after 27 years with the Sheriff's Office. He just retired within the last few weeks. And he's also on our executive advisory board with Bill's campaign. And he's the one that introduced me to Bill, and a lot of it is that experience. And I really encourage you and challenge you to, no matter what race it is, get to know the candidates. And you guys know an educated vote is a powerful vote. You guys know the process of the caucus, the county assembly, Regardless of what candidate it is, if you get behind somebody, support them. Stand up for them. Grab a yard sign, grab a bumper sticker, provide a financial contribution to anybody, because stepping up and becoming a candidate for whatever race takes money, takes time, takes volunteers, and it's the courage that when these candidates all come to forums like this and see people that want to get to know the candidates, they appreciate that. So I appreciate, on behalf of Bill and the other candidates that are here, thank you for your commitment to making an educated vote and getting involved.
So we'll leave some materials. We'll get out of your hair. If you want to have an event where you want us back, all you gotta do is give us a call. Sure.
Yeah, I've got a question. So, you were involved with narcotics before.
Yes.
What do you want to do, or how do you perceive that you're going to move forward dealing with the heroin crisis that's growing here in El Paso County?
Yeah, it's probably you probably have some insight into it that you recognize that, because a lot of people don't. Heroin in this community has grown at an unbelievable rate, and mostly in the area high schools. It's hard to believe, and we're talking brown tar or black tar heroin, typically comes out of Mexico, South America. It's a nasty product. It's not just the heroin of old days where it was a granular product. This is some nasty tar heroin. The way that it's made, the chemicals that are in it are very, very dangerous, and it's a difficult trade to infiltrate, to be honest with you. We worked a lot of heroin cases back in the late 90s, and it's a difficult group to get into because it's typically smuggled by, and I'm not supposed to use this word, sorry ladies, by Mexican trades. It comes out of Mexico, they smuggle it in balloons in their mouth, and it's sold in small pieces. It is rampant in area high schools, rampant. More so than we ever thought methamphetamine was going to be, more so than cocaine, and it's far more addictive than crack. We have a very, very aggressive narcotics unit. When I went into Metro Narcotics in 1993, the unit was made up of Colorado Springs Police Department and El Paso County SO. We had roughly about 15 agents that worked in Metro Narcotics. Over the next 3 years, I grew it to the largest metropolitan narcotics agency in the state. We included every agency in El Paso and Teller counties, to include gaming, all of the federal agencies, ATF, DEA, FBI. We grew it to the largest agency. We also started what's called the Rocky Mountain HIDTA, the high intensity drug trafficking area, that's meant to interdict those drugs that come out of Mexico. I-25 is a pathway directly to El Paso, Texas. A lot of the drugs that come here, cartel-driven drugs, come directly north on I-25. They go to Denver, to I-70, to points east and west. We traffic more methamphetamine and more heroin directly through Colorado Springs on I-25 than you could ever imagine. The methods of secreting that in vehicles runs the gamut, from car tires to gas tanks to body cavities. And it's all we can do in law enforcement to interdict that and stay within the boundaries of the Constitution.
Let me get to we can stay here until everybody's done talking to everybody, but we want to make this last very informal. So if you want to ask any more questions, you can do a one-on-one or whatever you want to do.
Sure.
I'd like to wrap up
Let me get out of your hair. Thank you. Thank you.